Hey guys, welcome to another Ride the Struggle Bus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. Today we have our first Struggle Bus Basics Beyond the Basics rule to go over, and that one is to not aim to kill groups. So picture a game of yours recently where there was a group that your opponent had that you knew you could kill. And so you went for the kill, and it turned into this sprawling fight, and they escaped, and they ended up winning the game because of it. And you're like, oh, if only I had correctly killed that group, I would have won this game. But what if there was another way to win the game that had nothing to do with killing that group? Because most likely, your aim should not have been to kill that group. And so we'll go over why this is a rule, and we'll obviously use some examples to show why this is a rule. So let's go jump into it with some examples. Okay, so here we are with our first example, and we can see that it is white's turn, and there is a weak group on the right side of the board, and that looks like a nice juicy target to attack, and it looks like we could even kill that group. So when we get into a situation like this, there are two things that we need to understand. The first one is when we're looking to attack a group, we shouldn't be aiming to kill that group. We should be aiming to get profit. And sometimes that profit is killing the group, but more often than not, it isn't. And so it's important that you can identify what profit are you going to get by attacking this group. And then that should be your goal. That should be your aim instead of killing the group. The second thing to know is whenever you surround a group in Sente, you need to view that as a success. Sure, it's not killing the group, and maybe you really wanted to kill that group, but if you're able to surround the group and keep it to a minimal amount of points and do so in Sente, where you can get the first move on the newly formed board, you need to view that as a success. So taking a look at this group and how we could attack it, let's take a look at maybe the wrong way to go about it first, where you see this group and you know if you get something like this and then you get something like this, all of a sudden their group is dead. And this is awesome and you've won the game. The problem with this is if you do this aggressive of a line and it doesn't work out, you can often end up losing much, much more. So let's say we play a move like this and black decides that they are going to run instead of save this group locally. Now, all of a sudden, if this fight sprawls across the board, we could potentially be trying to chase this group and, doing things like this. And all of a sudden, black is finding, another way to live, and black's broken out a little bit and still lived. And what did we really get from this attack? It's difficult to say. And so maybe these things happen in our games, and we look back and go, oh, we lost because we were unable to kill this group. But really, it was we lost because we were going with the wrong aim. We were going with the wrong goal. So the way that stronger players look at this is we look at this group and go, this group is weak, and we're going to attack it in a way where we get profit. So when I look at this board, I see that there is a lot of potential on the bottom and there's some potential in the center. We know from our basic rules that we want to be focusing on the corners and then the sides before the center. So here I'm really looking at my profit being this lower side because the center is still going to be tough to hold. And I know that attacking this group for profit and surrounding it in Sente will likely be enough. So when I look at attacking this group, I look at attacking it from the outside. Just as long as we keep this group contained, everything will be fine. And even if we don't, our goal was never to kill this group, and so we can still aim to get profit. So it's possible that black could try running out, but then we can just get to stay ahead. And as black tries to do something like this, we can, use our other attacking strategies, and then maybe something like this happens. And here, this isn't a failure because we were never planning on killing this group. We were going to let this group run. And now you can see how much larger the bottom side is. Let's just say we end the exchange with something like this. Now we have a bottom that's very large. It's a very large territory, and it's going to be very difficult for black to reduce this and or invade it. So this is a success. We identified where our profit could be, and we went and got that profit. And what's nice is these attacks, sometimes they're difficult to handle for our opponent. And they could end up going this way instead, where black plays here, and then we get to take this Hane, and then black extends, and then we extend, and black turns. And now all of a sudden, we take a look at this and realize that black isn't even fully alive yet, and probably needs another move to make their group alive. And as this is happening, we have fully surrounded the group. So let's say black plays a move like this to try to ensure to live, or a move like this. It's not really relevant right now exactly where black plays. But again, we have surrounded this group in Sente, and now we get to play the first move on the newly formed board, and we can play a move like this. And so here it's pretty clear to see where our profit is. We've fully enclosed the corner, which wasn't fully enclosed before. We've now increased our potential on this bottom territory by quite a bit. And now we're looking to extend that into a very large territory. And all black's getting out of this is a handful of points and getting that in Gote. So we need to view this as a success, because again, if we fail our attack, it ends up looking something like this. And where's our profit here? We still have to block black from breaking into our bottom territory. And so maybe we're now playing a move like this, and black can still consider moves like this. And now we don't really have control over the center. Our lower territory is nowhere near as big as it could have been if instead we had properly attacked this group. So those are the two big takeaways here. We should not be aiming to kill. We should instead be looking to get profit somewhere. And then also understands that surrounding a group in Sente is almost always going to be a success. So let's take a look at another example where we have a decision of how we want to attack a group of stones, and see how the rules apply there as well. So here's our second example, and again, we are white, and again, black has a weak group on this board, and we need to figure out, what are we going to do to attack this? Should we kill this group, or should we look for something else? And so again, this rule focuses on the fact that we should not be aiming to kill these stones. We should be looking for where our profit is going to be. Because again, if we try to attack this group with the goal to kill it by playing a move like this, we have to be really careful of the fact that our shape is very thin here, and black has a lot of tricks that black can do. We can see an exchange going like this to save the corner, and now all of a sudden black is making good shape and potentially cutting off this stone. And what are we getting from this attack? We've solidified a small corner. We've got this stone which faces black's strength, so it's going to be hard to do anything off of that. And we have a lot of weaknesses in our shape. So to me, this doesn't look like a success. This looks like we were trying to kill a group, and it kind of slipped out of our control. And now we're just in this fight, and we're going to be scrambling to get any kind of profit or balance from this. So instead, we should be aiming to get profit. And so where's our profit going to be in a situation like this? Well, there's two things I'm looking at. One, it looks like black is potentially building up a very large center, and it looks like we are potentially building up a very large territory on the left side. So we can look at building our potential and turning into territory, and we can also look at reducing black's potential center. So instead of trying to kill, if we just chase this group as we build up the left side, then that can be considered profit. So we could start with a move like this, and as black connects, we could then play on this side. And so now we've kind of fixed some of the weaknesses that are over here, and we've blocked black's way to coming out here. And so now really all black can do is try to run down. And so as black runs down, we can just strengthen our side and make sure that we are securing this as territory, while also potentially playing moves on this side to reduce black's center. And Black's going to very easily get out of this alive. But at the end of this, you can see that as Black was busy making these moves to get their group nice and secure, we were solidifying a very large territory on the left side, while also gaining some stones in the center, which will be useful to reduce this later. And so this I would consider to be a successful attack compared to something like this, where our corner got reduced to something very small. We've got a black group that we're not even sure if we can attack anymore. We've got some white stones that might be weak in their own regard now. And so this is the difference between aiming to try to kill a group versus aiming to just get a profit. And so that is why this is our first Beyond Basics rule of do not aim to kill groups. But sometimes, and hear me out on this, sometimes our opponents don't respect our attacks, and they respond to a move like this by playing here. And in these situations, you can absolutely murder them, because it is important that our attacks threaten to kill, even if our aim is not to kill. And so if we threaten to kill, and our opponent says, I don't believe you, you can go and kill the group. You have my permission to do so. Sometimes a little bit of murder is okay. So anyway, thank you guys for coming out for another ride in the Struggle Bus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys.